Welcome to the Filmistines, the double feature podcast. Join us as we unravel the interwoven experience of the continuous conversation of cinema. Take part in pairing movies with their cursed counterparts, movies that share DNA, or even pairing questionable duos by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/Filmistines. We offer tiers at the $1, $5, and $20 level. For the $5 tier, we grant the ability to request films to further the discussion. So grab some popcorn, sit back, and get ready to join the 100-year conversation. This is the Filmistines, where movies are more than just entertainment, they're an experience.
They're an experience.
All around you. And welcome back to another episode of the Filmistine. Thank you guys for joining us today. I am joined today by my lively friend, Lucy.
Hello, everyone.
You can join us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for brand new episodes of the Filmistines. Some recent episodes include The New Color Purple, Gigi's Little Women, our 2024 Oscar nomination reaction, Disney's recent film Wish, and Illumination's recent film Migration. Remember to leave nice comments, thoughts, and ideas over on our Patreon at patreon.com/Filmistines. Come request a movie. Come subscribe, please. Thank you. We appreciate all the support.
Are you stressed and filled with anxiety like I am? Maybe in a bit of pain from that car accident you had a few years ago? Well, the sponsor of today's episode, Hempville CBD, has us covered. They have the highest quality products created by chemists and doctors. Hempville carries everything from CBD to THC dispensary grade without those despicable dispensary prices. Order your Delta 8, 9 edibles and vapes along with the THCA flower and get free shipping when you spend $50 or more at hempvillecbd.com. Check out the link in the description for more details.
But today we're discussing Celine Song's 2023 film, Past Lives.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of this movie. I'll tell you that.
And I'm happy to report back that I liked this movie a lot.
I don't know how.
I think this is my third favorite movie of the year. Of 2023, I guess.
You don't know what you're saying. Did you hit your head?
I'm a little surprised to hear that you don't like this movie. It feels like it's so romantic that you...
Hold on. It's not a I don't like situation per se.
You're confused.
It's like I'm not a fan of this movie. I think there's a very slight difference there. Like, I don't like a movie kind of means I'm not going to recommend this. It's shit. You know, it's here's all the terrible things about it. And I'm not a fan of this movie, you know, just right here, right now, to me means this isn't my type of movie.
You're indifferent.
Am I indifferent? No, because watching this movie kind of pissed me off the whole time. I had a very clear side of what I wanted to happen. But then I didn't, because it wouldn't have fit this movie. This movie would not be this movie if it would have gone the way I wanted it to. That's for a whole different movie. Like the point, the point behind the movie.
I wonder if it's a similar reason you don't like La La Land.
I think you might be onto something there. For sure, I'd have to rewatch La La Land, especially, you know, since I haven't seen it very recently. So I definitely would have to watch it with new eyes on how I just watch movies nowadays. But I do think you're onto something there.
Yeah, I mean, there's this big element of the casualness of love and situational relationships and how life can kind of interfere with that.
Yeah, and also it's how are these people not doing what they want to do? Like, oh, it's so sad that you're not going to be together. That's your choice. You know, I'm not a fan of...
No, you're not supposed to be sad that they're not together. What's sad is this ethereal magnetism that brings these people together, and it's just not the time and place for that to happen.
Why is it not the time and place?
Life.
Life is right here. You're deciding what you want to do with your life.
And life has dealt them the hand that does not align with one another.
Because they don't want it bad enough.
Nora's not going to uproot her life in New York to go back to Korea.
Because
she's
she
got a
doesn't
good
love
thing
him
going.
enough.
She's got a good thing going. The life is not strictly about love. And we've seen maybe that it's held back Hae Sung a little bit too, because he can't let go. He's kind of stuck and waiting for the next life.
And I think that's a bit of a problem I had with the movie, that if we would have approached this from a best friend situation, I could have maybe processed it better. Like, he missed her. He missed his best friend, and he didn't get to say goodbye. I get his need, his want to communicate with her, to tell her that, because, you know, if you click, you click, no matter if it's a romantic type of relationship or a friendship type of relationship. But I don't like that they took it in a romantic way.
That's kind of an important part, though, is that this specific life is, by chance, a little bit of that romantic perspective, where in another life they may have been just best friends. And that's what helped facilitate this magnetism, and also their negotiation with themselves and each other of how to go about with their feelings towards one another. Obviously, Hae Sung was very unsettled for a very long time, to varying degrees across his life, and how he wanted to tackle how he felt about Nora. Now, he probably did not think about her day in, day out for those 24 years. You know, he's still a human being. Out of sight, out of mind plays a big role, of course.
Yeah.
Especially when he hooked up with that girl after, you know, their first reconnection.
Yeah.
He was probably deeply in love with her for a while, and then him in the next life is probably going to be super obsessed with her. It's like, Nora, who?
That girl?
Yeah. But I think there's something undeniable about the, at least as far as the film goes, this deeply human thing needing closure about just like what happened between us.
But why do you need closure? I guess I don't understand that either. I don't understand that as a human, why people need closure so bad to move on.
It's just part of the human experience.
But
you're missing it. You're obviously not very human.
Ah, that's the problem with this film.
You're an insectoid.
I'm an insectoid. I don't know. Maybe I'm...
And there may be something to say about, like, the American perspective not kind of jiving with that as much as Koreans or Japanese or whoever. There may be some kind of real cultural disconnect between how we feel and view our relationships through time and space.
What do you mean?
Maybe Koreans just value each other a little bit more.
Ah, okay.
That does kind of bring up one point I like about this movie a lot, and it's really tangential to anything of consequence in the movie, is her negotiating her origin in Koreanness with herself, and like what that means. And maybe too, even with her friends, it sounds like she's got Korean friends that are more Korean than her, but not nearly as Korean as Hae Sung. And
yeah, that's something I liked about the film too. I like that she kind of had to battle with this American, Canadian, well, although I don't think she battled with that part of it a lot, but more of an American, Korean identity. And we see a little bit of that too when she's having to relearn how to type and how to write whatever in Korean. And I like that. That was a nice touch and pretty funny, because I guess I don't really struggle with my American Mexicanness. It just comes when it comes, whatever comes out when it comes out.
And also, I think English and Spanish are much more similar than
also very
English
fucking
and
true.
Korean.
Yes, but I do have to type shit in Google Translate to text my mother, so it's very funny.
Yeah, they do a really amazing job laying the groundwork of how life is already getting in the way between these two childhood sweethearts. You know, when they reconnect for the first time, she's having to relearn, or at least how to rewrite Korean. Because I think there's a big difference in knowing how to speak it and know how to write.
Oh, yep. If I may speak for a lot of people here who are in those similar situations, it's like knowing how to speak it is at the top, then knowing how to read it is in the middle, and then knowing how to write it is at the very bottom.
Yeah.
For sure.
I could totally feel that. And that's one reason, I know you mentioned having maybe a little bit of an issue with the pacing, but that's one reason I like the pacing is because we're not getting this lore driven kind of story. We're getting this very character driven human experience. Every moment is establishing this either connection or dissonance between these two characters. That time only plays a role in establishing how further and further apart these two are being pushed apart through time. But at the same time, that magnetic kind of force is just too powerful on at least Hae Sung's side. Because Nora's much more open to just life happening the way it is. And Hae Sung is, he's a little bit in need of closure. He didn't want, as far as I can tell, he didn't want anything more than to see Nora at least one more time.
No.
So I think that's your
that's
your American coming out.
No. Why would he break up with his girlfriend and then come on this trip and make such a big deal that he broke up with his girl? Just to let you know, we're taking a break. I know your intentions. And she does too. She comes home and tells Arthur, saying, yeah, he's here for me.
Of course he is. He wants to see you one more time. It's this indescribable attraction to someone, maybe not necessarily sexual or romantic, but...
What are you going to tell your girl? Oh, I'm going to go to America for a week.
That's going to be a not such a great conversation when he gets back. And he's probably thought about that. And he may just try to lie his way out. I don't know. It's not what's important here.
He came to shoot his shot, man.
I don't think so.
I think so. I think he did. Because unless that's a story flaw, bringing up his girlfriend and then pausing.
Well, maybe. But I could see it being a moment of trying to establish that Hae Sung is not, completely hung up on this. The fact that he has dated and was dating for a long time, consider marrying, whatever, helps make him not sound like, someone who just couldn't move on and ruined his life because of it. You know what I mean? They're trying to help neutralize that so he's not that kind of person. I'm not sure what to call that.
A little desperate, really.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Their whole, just body language and their chemistry is just too fucking good here that he's here for her. Not to, not to break up her marriage, per se. I don't know. See, this is why I'm confused, because if it goes that way, I'm thinking that he does want her, it all of a sudden doesn't fit the story anymore.
This is an exercise of restraint, this film, through and through. There is an unbelievable level of restraint with these characters and these performances.
But see, why you gotta restrain yourself?
To build that tension. That's the only thing that builds tension is restraint. Man. And obviously love and romance is more important to you than just the essence of...
No. What's more important to me is doing whatever you want to do.
So you're a hedonist?
Sure. If you want to be with each other, be with each other.
This isn't their time, though.
It doesn't matter.
Maybe in the next life.
This is your only fucking time. See, that's also my problem. This is also why this is not my type of movie. Because that's not my belief system. And that's very, stupid of me to say that, oh, I don't like this movie because that's not what I believe in. That's awful. You shouldn't go into a movie thinking that. But maybe in belief system, I'm just that close-minded that it's there's no other life. This is just your one life.
That's because it gets in the way of the romance. In Korea, you can wait for the romance for your next life. As a Buddhist, you can wait for the next life.
Look, let's just say it. I'm not emotionally mature enough for this movie and for La La Land. I'm a sap. I'm a romantic. I want you to uproot your fucking life to be with the one you love. It makes me a sap. I don't believe in, oh, it's not the time. It's always the time. Just do it. I'm a Nike girl. Maybe that's why I can't click with this movie, because I think it's so obvious there's something there, and he wants her, and she wants him. But they've all of a sudden decided it's not our time.
They can't throw away everything they've built with their current relationships, their current life. They have a relationship with their life right now. They can't just throw that away for a new life.
He did.
He did not.
He said, bitch, we're taking a break. I'll be right back. That's what he said.
Maybe he's in more of a position to change some things, but she's obviously the much more controlled person. She's obviously much more of the professional out of our main characters.
And which Hae Sung even says here that she's kind of loyal to whatever she decides to do. So it would be out of character for her to do something like that too. And I'm just conflicted. Because I don't know what this type of character does in real life. I don't see this type of character. I don't know this person that does mature, non-passionate things. Nora leads with her brain, not her heart.
She's a role model.
She's a role model?
Yeah.
No. Fuck that. No. I'm not waiting for our next life to be with somebody.
She's not waiting either. Hae Sung is waiting.
That's true. That's very true.
Because she's so Americanized, we have a hard time believing she even believes in that. And even modern Koreans maybe have a hard time believing in some kind of reincarnation.
I mean, yeah, because when she's talking to Arthur, when they first kind of meet in their retreat place, he asks her, do you really believe in that kind of stuff? And we don't really get an answer from her. She says, oh, that's just what Koreans say to seduce Americans. You know, she's being flirtatious, and she doesn't give us a direct answer on what she really believes. So yeah, we don't know.
Yeah, because she probably doesn't even know. Because she's negotiating her Koreanness, her origin, her clash of belief systems anyways, all her life.
That's also true.
Sometimes you just need a very mechanical and descriptive reason by why you feel the way you do. You know, of course, all these hormones are shooting off left and right in our brain to trigger different feelings, right? That's what makes us us. But there's no doubt that there's a part of us that doesn't find the sterileness in it. There is just that human part of it, and it's just the way you feel. I guess it's hard to blame anyone for wanting more answers to basically why you have that kind of drive and magnetic force between two people. Because there's no doubt you meet people across your life. I mean, I hope you have as a human. There's no doubt you meet people throughout your life who you just have this force between, you know, that you just want to be around. You want to, you know, pick their brain. You just want to be close to them in one way or another. And I guess that's been fleshed out through a Buddhist lens of, you know, Inyan. And there's something really neat about that. I've never heard of a reason for it. Of course, I have felt it because I am a human being.
You're not an insectoid?
I'm not an insectoid.
Yeah, and in, I guess, American movies, when they try to do something like that, it's just like a destiny thing or a soulmate thing. And it's completely different from what this movie's trying to say about it.
A whole important part of that whole phenomenon is the time and place needing to be lined up right. And we see that throughout life and through our friends and movies and whatnot, where you've got people in high school who knew each other. They were dating different people. Time wasn't right. They're in college dating different people. Time wasn't right. You know, and then maybe they finally get together after college or something like that. You know, and then all their friends were like, we always knew you guys were going to end up together kind of thing. Right?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I mean, of course that's happened. I mean, I'm not asking if it has or not. I know it has.
Oh, okay. Well, I have personally, I have not experienced that. I have not seen two people and I'm like, those two.
But that's kind of how it's displayed in American movies and whatnot. It is kind of that destiny thing.
Yeah, but with American movies, it's kind of spoon-fed to you that's how you should be feeling. Not that actually happens.
Yeah, I think there's rarely ever tension in romantic American movies, for sure. The tension is when are they going to take each other's clothes off, not when are they going to kiss. And here, the tension is when are they going to meet? Are they going to meet? And then they hug when they first meet, and it's explosive. The tension is when when they're kids, Hae Sung calls Nora a psycho, and you don't know if that's an insult or is he just palling around. And then later he tells her that she's always one to, move away, to go away, to disappear. Like, that's a little weird to say, but because of this tension between them, I'm not sure if it's this little boil of frustration between them, or is he speaking for all of his past lives? And so there's something kind of ethereal about it.
Is it? I'm sorry, I just don't see it. My mind is not there. To me, he was just saying, why the fuck you always keep running away from me?
But the movie's called Past Lives. So you're having a hard time getting on board of this multi-life reincarnation thing.
Yes, for sure.
And how your spirit continues on.
Yeah.
That's a problem as far as like watching this movie and it being effective. It was obviously very effective in some ways with the tension and you recognizing their chemistry between characters and writing, and then you not liking Arthur and stuff, which I think you not liking Arthur is probably a very American thing, or a very maybe non-Korean thing. I'm not really sure. I liked Arthur. I mean, I guess I am American as well, but I am more empathetic to the cause because...
What did you like about Arthur?
He lives in this realm of he's insecure, but he's also so comfortable with the way his life has gone that he's okay with what happens next in his life with him and Nora and I guess now Hae Sung. That there's this element of...
So he's like, I don't care what happens.
No, it's not an
You're
I don't care.
You're either gonna leave me or you're not. So let it play out.
It's not an I don't care. It's a...
I care too much?
No, there's no care involved. That's not...
He doesn't care? I was reading some reviews about how people felt about Arthur. And surprisingly, to me, anyway, I didn't find a lot of people on my side. People really like him. People really feel for him. They're very empathetic and kind of praise him for being so mature in his relationship and just letting Nora kind of decide for herself what she wants to do and how she wants to kind of handle the situation with Hae Sung. So I'm alone there with a lot of these reviews I read. Maybe I should have looked up why is Arthur the worst in past lives, and maybe I could have related with somebody, but I don't know. I just felt his insecureness too much. Just his body language around Nora was just so pathetic and so sissy that I didn't like that. That turned me off from liking him as a person. And then when he told Nora exactly what I was thinking, he was telling her when they were in bed that he's just a bad guy and that their story, Nora and Hae Sung's story, is so beautifully written. Like, it's a perfect story and it's so romantic or whatever he said that he's just ruining it for her. And a lot of people were sad that he said that. But I don't know. I was just feeling like, yeah, so what are you still doing here?
But they're writers. Of course they're going to be discussing this kind of thing. It's genius material for the next book they put out.
I didn't like that he's a writer either.
Yeah, you can't have two writers.
You can't have two writers.
Hooked up together.
Exactly. See?
It can only take so much.
Exactly.
You can't disguise a good story. He can't lie to himself and pretend that the coincidental nature of them meeting at that retreat is more interesting than this thing that's kind of meant to be. Because, through his eyes, maybe he's seeing a little bit of destiny here. He's like, what the fuck? This is like a movie that I've seen before, because he's a proper American. And so it's hard to not be a little empathetic with him because we don't see anything from Arthur outside of this scenario except at the retreat. And he's fine at the retreat. He's just the cool, chill, writer, artist kind of dude.
No, she meets him and I'm like,
well, that's
ew.
because she's...
Why are you here?
That's because all of a sudden he's in between her and Hae Sung and very quickly fucking takes her away from him. And so now he's the antagonist. And is self-aware of that, which helps naturalize it. But he does kind of have to fight that as a character in the movie too, and it's definitely a difficult battle. I get it. I totally get it. And he does come off a little bit of a cuck. But there's this element of it's just because of how absurd the situation is. You're just like, as Arthur, you're just like, but I'm kind of curious how this all plays out. You know, you're just, I mean, we're not cats, I guess, but I feel like curiosity is a major drive of the human condition.
You think I'm going to sit there and be curious if my woman wants to go out with...
That's the funny part. We do kind of get into the deconstruction of, like, the property we are with each other. Like, when we're in a relationship, we all of a sudden become each other's property in some way. And there's no doubt this movie challenges that at full, force, man. Because this guy, he was in reality really nothing to Nora. They knew each other for, let's say, 12 years from birth to 12 years old, right?
Yeah.
So functioning brain time, I don't know, 5 to 12, so 7 years. As children, it's...
But then we get them when they're in their, early 20s. And I don't know. Again, me being a romantic sap. You're Skyping with each other every day. You're doing things with each other every day. And, I mean, you're staying up late. There's that whole, like, giddiness and just childhood or more, like, teen love kind of feeling.
Sure, but I think you're kind of missing the bigger picture of just how obsessed we get when we get these new, fresh, kind of infatuations that happen in our life, and that transcends just human connection. It can be everything. You find a new app that you become obsessed with. You get obsessed with Wikipedia pages, right? New book kind of thing.
Sure.
You stay up. It takes control of your life. And she was self-aware enough of that. Thank God, right, for her career to kind of cut that off when it wasn't all that consequential. Hae Sung became a little bit of a focal point in her life at one of the worst times possible for Nora, because we didn't get to see Hae Sung's, fallout after life, like what he went to, after meeting that girl and stuff. We didn't see any of him really. We're just kind of reminded as much as she's reminded of him, which isn't much, and so when these things pop up in your life, when you reconnect, in reality, you may only talk for a day, but at times maybe, or in a different life, maybe you do talk for 2 or 3 weeks, and then it just kind of fades away. And then maybe it's rekindled, and then maybe not for 12 years.
So you're telling me that she felt like this, like, hey, dude, I need to stop talking to you for a bit so I can focus on my work. Then that next weekend, she goes on her retreat and finds a man.
Was it next weekend?
I think it was a weekend, yeah. She told him, like, oh, I got invited to do this at blah, blah, blah place. Okay, let's say it's a few weeks.
The retreat's going to be probably a year or 2.
What do you
That's
mean?
how often those artist retreats are. So she was hanging out with this guy for...
So she was already hanging out with
day
this
in,
guy.
day out.
Day in and day out. You tell me she was focusing on her work?
Well, that's the kind of ironic thing, is she wanted to kind of decouple herself from this situation, and she found herself in just a very similar real life situation. And I'm sure she learned in that moment, and continues to learn in that moment, that those are the moments that fuel your writing. They fuel your work. And as a young artist, she may have not realized that at 24 years old.
So she realized it a few weeks later.
Well, probably not a few weeks later, but probably several months later, after getting to know these people at the retreat. Yeah.
Okay.
That's life.
All right. I don't believe that for 1 second.
It brings up the situationalism of love, and the casuality of love, the casualness of it, and how it is just going to happen if you let it, and you are in, a situation to let it happen, like a retreat with a bunch of single people, and they're all artists and floozies, and you talk every night and kind of stuff. It's just...
So how is that any different?
Than what?
Than what she had with Hae Sung.
Time and place.
They're
not in the right
time.
place.
They're in the same place.
They're not in the same place. He's in Seoul, or around Seoul, and she's in New York. A million miles away, man. She's got a good thing going.
So she's just gonna settle?
He's in school. She's not settling.
She is so
She fell in love.
No.
And it's a good... I wish we could have seen maybe a little bit more of it and kind of a deconstruction of how easy it is to fall in love when you're in a more of a tranquil mindset. That's one thing I wish we could have got maybe a little bit more out of in this film was the retreat, but specifically how a perfectly kind of crafted situation can heighten the chemistry between two people. But of course we don't see it because we're not supposed to be on Nora's side. We're supposed to live in this, the force between the two, right?
I don't know whose side we're supposed to be on.
Neither. We're supposed to live in between.
I'm telling you, I don't know. Because I don't know. I am not in agreement with what a lot of people are saying. I'm not viewing this movie how it was meant to be viewed. I'm just not a fan of this movie. It didn't speak to me.
Another aspect of this movie I really liked was when they were cutting up when they were little, or when Hae Sung was hanging out with his friends at the bar or whatever that restaurant was, when, at least as far as the rip we saw, it didn't translate the banter between everybody. It was just a kind of living in the moment. Nothing said is all that important. It's just the kind of exchangement of good times, especially when they were little, when they were playing around that statue and everything.
Mm-hmm.
There weren't embedded subtitles. I thought that was really neat. I don't know if that was intentional. It felt intentional. And if it wasn't, the subtitles were just on point. I don't know how that happened, but I loved that. It was just, kids being kids. What the who fucking cares what they're talking about? Boys being boys, at the bar drinking sake or whatever. Who the fuck cares what they're talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we see a little bit of the opposite of that happen when they're in the bar, the three of them, towards the end. Arthur, Nora, and Hae Sung. And then Nora and Hae Sung start speaking between each other in Korean. And it's just like, it's super fucking awkward.
Oh, yeah.
And I love it. Is it my favorite scene? I'm not sure. I love probably every scene in this movie for different reasons. But that restraint and awkwardness captured in Arthur, apparently he felt it in real life, which is just a sign of a great actor. He wanted to break the tension during filming, like going to order something at the bar or going to the restroom or whatever, and Celine didn't want him to leave. She wanted him to face it. Which is awesome. That I'm glad he felt that, because
it came across.
It comes across.
Yeah, and to me that awkwardness just
heightened his insecurities.
Heightened how I felt about him.
Yeah.
Why are you even there? Just leave, dude. Just get up and leave. Just go home. Wait for her to come back. Fight it out.
If this movie was edited a little bit different, this may have been a 10 out of 10 movie for you. If they just placed things a little differently and we got just a slightly tweaked perspective, there would have been a movie you loved in here, I think.
Yeah, I agree that we should have not focused, but maybe got a little bit more of Nora and Arthur. I wanted to see I feel like if I would have gotten one tiny little spark from them, I could have seen this movie with a very different lens.
Yeah.
But just his whole everything just made me so mad and just disgusted with him.
It's funny. I mean, I totally get you, but you got to remind yourself that we're seeing Arthur in a very awkward moment. These few days. How long's Hae Sung there? 4 days or whatever?
Yeah.
It's bizarre. It's bizarre for him. It's bizarre for Nora. It's bizarre for Hae Sung. It's a weird ass situation.
I'm not putting myself in a situation like that. I'm too young to say that. Maybe when I'm older, I'll be in that situation. And who knows how I handle it then. But right now, at this moment, like hell, I'd be in a situation like that. You want me to go where? With whom? And you want me to pay at the end?
Did he pay?
He paid.
What a gentleman. Again, another favorite section within that scene is when when Hae Sung kind of initiates that closure of the thoughts he has while being there with Nora.
At the bar?
At the bar. Like, would they have been together? Would they have had kids together? Would they have broken up with each other?
And see, this is what pisses me off, because he knows Korean. He knows what they're talking about.
See, that's an important part. He doesn't know Korean.
Yes,
He's
he does.
learning Korean. So you're supposed to negotiate with yourself.
He
How much is he picking up?
He fucking knows.
No, he doesn't.
Yes, he does.
Not everything. Some for sure. Not everything.
He knows.
Absolutely not.
He knows. And he's just there, awkwardly listening. I'm just saying. He knows. The audacity of Nora, really. He's... I don't know, man. He's not mature. He's just stupid.
Yeah, I wouldn't say Arthur's mature. I would...
I don't... You think I'm gonna be sitting there listening to my wife's great conversation she's having in another language with another man who's obviously here for her, and the great time they're having, and they're talking about this past lives? I don't know. Maybe I'm too jealous. I'm too passionate. I'm too romantic for this type of movie. I can't separate myself like that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, or maybe not romantic enough to see the innocence in it. They're talking like they're kids on the playground.
Why am I here then?
This is Hae Sung's closure. That's why you're here.
Okay, I don't care for Hae Sung's closure.
Wait, why is Arthur there?
Yes, why is Arthur there?
Well, they got to know each other a little bit, and then we had that moment where Hae Sung had, the courage to get it off his chest.
I would have left if I was Arthur.
You just gonna cause a scene when there's no scene to have?
I'm causing a scene by awkwardly sitting there.
No, you're not.
Yes, you
You're
are.
fine.
I felt it.
I mean, it was awkward, but there was no scene.
Yeah, you can just say, "I'll see you at home." Give her a little stare, and then leave. Give Hae Sung a little stare while you're at it, too. I don't see the innocence. I know why Hae Sung's there. That is not innocent.
He's not there to take Nora.
I'm telling you. This brings up my whole point.
You've seen it before.
And exactly.
I don't care if you're from Korea, Europe. All men are alike.
Exactly. I did think this movie looked pretty good for what it was. I liked some of the scenes. I especially liked a lot the scene when they meet, 20 whatever years later, and they're by this giant stone statue, and you get this kind of heart tug from the stone statue when they were kids and they went on their little dates. I thought that was good. That was cute when you reference stuff like that, making me fall in love with these two characters even more. But I didn't like the beginning of the movie. I don't like that they have them at the bar and then they have these two people talking, wondering, like, hey, I think she's with the, American guy and that Asian guy's her brother. And the guy's like, no, I think she's with the Asian guy and he's just their American friend. I thought that was kind of silly. Who's thinking that? Sorry, I'm an insectoid here. I don't go around.
You mind your business.
I mind my business, exactly.
You don't people watch, apparently.
I do not people watch. I am not watching people whatsoever.
Yeah, and we also have that element of her breaking the fourth wall, looking straight at the camera.
Yeah.
Which is always bizarre. It's hard to know how to take that.
But I did like that. I did like that after the other two nosy-ass motherfuckers ended.
Yeah, it plays, especially her breaking the fourth wall, it plays into that ethereal, the thing is happening, and then, it's like, I bet you're wondering how we got here, aren't you? Kind of thing. It's like, all right, it's maybe a little cheesy. It's maybe the cheesiest thing about this movie, really.
And I wonder if that set the tone for me. That kind of made me not like it as much as I probably could have, because I'm already here with these two people that are wondering, I wonder what they are to each other. Yes, of course we do.
Yeah, and I mean, that is kind of the ultimate theme throughout the movie, is what are these relationships between these few people.
And I think they say that. I think that's what one of the girls says. I wonder what they are to each other. Like,
yeah.
Maybe if nothing should have been said, or I don't know. I don't know how that could have been played different, or if just eliminate that scene whatsoever. But I do like her breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to disagree with Celine, actually, maybe because she obviously thinks the the triangle is maybe the focal point here, and I don't think so. I think it's that magnetism between
Inyan.
Nora and Hae Sung. Arthur is just he's this rock, he's this shackle to Nora in some way. So is her life, though. Her whole life is that shackle, and Arthur's part of it.
You're calling him a shackle.
Of course, all marriages are.
Oh, shit. We went there.
But it's this unmovable force that you can maybe detach yourself from, but it's going to have massive, implications. And Nora's a fucking responsible person, I hate to say. So she's maybe not ready to sacrifice everything on a whim, no matter how she feels, especially if she's a believer of reincarnation. Maybe next time. I did like in the bar scene too, where, Nora goes to the bathroom or whatever, and then Arthur and Hae Sung have a first kind of one-on-one, the first and only maybe one-on-one, where he tries to share a little bit of that force he has with Nora with Arthur in this, playful, seductive things that Korean guys like to use on girls or whatever, Inyan. And I like that they kind of play with that because, like you said, Nora said that's just something guys say to girls to seduce them over there or whatever. And it's fun. That's a fun romantic thing to say to make someone feel special, of course, right? We're going to say whatever we can.
Hell yeah.
But even in the movie, it feels like there's sort of two definitions of Inyan. One where every instance is kind of driven by every other previous instance you've had with that person in past lives. And then there's this second definition of that magnetic force that draws people together.
Mm-hmm.
And we see both examples brought up or shown, throughout the movie. So I like when, I guess I just like that it's used in convenience and it's used to explain this ethereal thing that we feel too.
I like that you like this movie. How did you feel about the ending?
Well, you brought up first the cinematography a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
And I must say, this might be my favorite film of the year as far as cinematography and editing goes. And maybe score. I'd have to rewatch it for a score watch. But unfucking believable. I can't believe this is Celine Song's first movie. I don't know. Before anything else, I'm blown away by how this movie comes together. And how it's shot. It's shot on film, too. It's awesome. I can't fucking believe it. I can't speak too much of cinematography, but I loved the linearity of some of these shots and how we're on a shot where we could see the Ferris wheel, far out from the distance, and the next shot was them in front of the Ferris wheel. And it's just it's just endless things like that. It's awesome.
No, I definitely agree. Probably one of my favorite scenes visually was when they're saying goodbye as kids, or really they didn't get to say goodbye as kids when you have Nora kind of walking up like she's going in a different path in her life, and then you have Hae Sung going straight, continuing his Koreanness, I guess. I like that. I like that whole scene.
It's awesome.
I mean, really the whole sequence when they're kids
is awesome.
I like that she's crying and he's like, why are you crying? Is it because I beat you? It's so cute.
Well, he was like, is it because you got second place? And then he was like, because you always beat me. And
yeah.
now you're
so
butthurt.
Yes,
yeah, it's awesome.
So cute.
It was awesome.
And story-wise, I liked that her mom gave her this last good memory, this date with her, childhood crush. I really like that. As someone that was kind of yanked from one country into another, think about what you're doing to your kids. You know what I'm saying? A
similar thing when parents get divorced and move across countries or even different parts of the state.
Yes. Think about how your kid is going to remember their past life. I like that. I really like that. I don't know if I've seen something quite like that.
Yeah. I like your touch on even within your life you can have past lives. Because we all do. We have our different eras of childhood, right? Our different careers and schools, our different friend groups and relationships. We're different people in every one of these scenarios.
Yep.
You mentioned some of the parallels too, and one of the, I mean, to be honest, it might be one of the greatest parallels I've ever seen in my fucking life, where, she's crying in the beginning with Hae Sung when they're kids, and then when they part ways, when Hae Sung's about to go back to the airport or wherever to get ready, they leave back to Seoul, I guess, or wherever he's going. He might be going to Europe or something, going on vacation. I don't know, you know. But she starts crying hysterically, and there's almost this feeling of like she didn't get the resolution. She wasn't like open enough to the idea of that closure. But Hae Sung's obvious objective was that closure.
That was his second obvious objective. Yes.
Yeah, okay. And I really like that. I would like to see a sequel where Nora's gonna have some problems with Arthur, probably. Because I just got that feeling that she is gonna have a hard time moving on from this experience right here, these last few days. This is what did it for her. She was good up until this point, and now all of a sudden she's remembering, she's feeling that magnetic pull between these two characters in life. And then it ends.
Yeah, I didn't really like that exchange at the end with her crying. But I can talk about it all day. I can talk about all the different situations of why Arthur is the worst.
Every scene with Arthur.
Yes. I mean,
that was funny when Nora was like, we went to go see the Liberty statue or whatever. Liberty Lisa and the bridge and everything. And Arthur was like, we've never been out there.
I know.
It's like, oh, fuck.
I loved it. That's the scene I loved with Arthur.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. Like, you just told your quote friend goodbye, and you're coming to me crying and bawling. You think I'm gonna ask you, why are you crying this hard?
There's some things more important than any singular relationship, though.
She was crying pretty hardcore, though.
Yeah.
Why were you that hurt?
That's fine.
Huh?
She's feeling this wave of emotion that Hae Sung's been dealing with for 24 years. She got away from it in time where she didn't have to negotiate it with it, throughout her life. It's hitting her all at once.
That's why I'm gonna ask first. Why are you crying this hard?
And Arthur's a good person to have there because he's going to be understanding. He might be a cuck, but he's going to be understanding.
Okay. I wouldn't be a good person to have there.
Yeah, you're not a cuck.
I'd be like, why
you
the
a motherfucker.
Fuck are you crying? And also, it's supposed to be sweet that Arthur's hugging her because, she used to be a crybaby, but now no one cared. So now Arthur cares. All of a sudden, after 7 years of marriage, now he cares. I don't know. I'm telling you, I can find these. Maybe there's a little bit of just hatredness in my heart here, but
yeah, that's a little lame. The crybaby parallel popping back up. That's a thing she definitely left behind. Her crybabiness is not popping up. It's just a thing she's dealing with that's just a lot right now. She's not gonna cry after she deals with this. She's gonna beat up Arthur. She's gonna feel something else.
Because also there's when she brings up the green card, that was a little sus. When she said, "Well, I got married so young because of the green card issues or whatever." Like, why? Why are you telling Hae Sung this?
Well, yeah, that is kind of funny, but
know?
that only kind of furthers the situational nature of love and getting married and the casualness of it all.
Of course it does.
Yeah.
All right. I'm just saying. I'm just pointing things out here. You're explaining them to me.
And you don't like the explanation.
I don't like the explanation.
Why do you need a green card? You just go back to Korea.
So she can be with Hae Sung. Yes,
exactly. That's what I'm saying.
You don't need to stay here. But this is not a bad movie.
No, I think you'd be crazy and a little stupid to think this is a bad movie.
Yes.
This is, this has got kind of academic, intellectual chops written all over it. Its performances are out of this world. Cinematography and editing are fucking nuts. If I remember correctly, the score is really great.
I don't remember the score.
It was real atmospheric.
Okay.
If I remember. I need to rewatch it for that alone. And the writing, I think, is awesome. It's so controlled and built up. There's just we have these long moments of them looking at each other, staring at each other. See, Bradley Cooper, this is how you do it. This is how you effectively make people stare at each other.
This is how you do it better. I don't know if I'd call this super effective because I still faced a little bit of just a little too long of the staring. At least there was purpose for the staring and they did it well, but maybe just a tad bit too long. Like, okay, I get it. When are you getting back together?
I'm a little surprised you don't like the long, glassy stares. And it may just be this movie specifically. We need to dip our toes more into highbrow Korean dramas. Korean romances, I should say.
Because Decision to Leave
Awesome.
was awesome. And they don't end up together at the end. But, she does kill herself. So, Romeo and Juliet, how much more romantic can you get? So I don't know. There's just something here that I'm just not for. I'm not a fan of. Maybe this, I keep saying it. Maybe this isn't my type of movie. Maybe I need to rewatch this in like 5 years when...
Maybe. And I know Celine Song actually speaks to that, how this is she hoped to make a movie that would speak to you differently as the years go by.
Sure, I can see that. Maybe it's not my time.
Yeah.
Not my place or time to watch this.
I'll let you know when you need to rewatch it.
All right, thank you.
And I think there's a common thread between this movie and La La Land. Why it's not really clicking. I do think that
I just don't like these kind of movies.
Life getting in the way is not an excuse, right?
It's not. It's really not. Move mountains for what you want. Oh no, I got a different job at another state. We can't be together. No.
You better find a new job.
You better find writer's retreat. There's plenty of writer's retreats all around the world.
In Korea.
And especially in Korea.
I also really liked the scene where they left each other, where he called an Uber and then they were standing there very tensely, and then their body language shifted more towards each other, and they were eventually, face to face, and there was almost this pulsating thing between them where they were they moving together? Were they not? I'm not even fucking sure.
I think they were. Maybe my eyes were moving them together.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's an element of really high success here for you because of that, but you have some hurdles to fight over.
Yeah, and I would have been mad if they did kiss here completely, because it would have been totally out of character for both of them. So I'm glad, they didn't, even though my heart wanted to like push these two together. But I know that this is not what's meant to happen right now. What I didn't understand, or maybe I do understand, and it's kind of cheesy for me, is when he says, maybe in our next life or past life, whatever he says, we'll be together, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, I don't know. And then he says, I don't know. It almost seemed kind of too simple of everything that just happened here, everything that's going on, squeezing it into an I don't know.
Well, sometimes there just aren't answers.
I know, and I don't hate it, and I understand it.
At the end, he says, "Who do you think we are in our next lives?" And I kind of wanted him to say, "I'll let you know when I find you," but I'm not sure if that would have been too American. That's when she says, "I don't know."
That's when she says, I don't know? Okay. Yeah, that really wouldn't fit your story of closure either.
Well, it's kind of a funny thing. I know it's like almost writing yourself in the middle of the room so you can't be cornered. But there is still this element of waiting into the next life. It's not closure forever, it's closure for this life. So, but I do think Celine goes hardcore on trying to avoid the desperation between these characters, specifically Hae Sung. She doesn't want him to seem desperate at all. And I don't think he comes across desperate. I think Arthur comes across a little bit more
for sure.
desperate. Funny enough, he's got the girl. But I do feel, I kind of agree. I feel like there's this missing gut punch there at the end. I'm not sure what it would have been, but there is this casualness about what just happened between them, what they just felt, that is a little too casual. I get it. Love is casual. Being is casual. Falling in love is casual. Life is casual. But the belief of multiple lives is not casual. All right?
Mm-hmm.
The movie's called Past Lives. All right? Past Lives works on multiple levels, of course. But there does kind of feel like something's missing. And that last moment, I totally agree. All right, man. I hope I did a good enough job explaining my point of view.
Yeah, I think you did. I hope I didn't hate on Arthur too much here.
You probably did. That's
yeah,
okay.
maybe, like I said, I'll watch this movie in 5 years and
maybe
I completely see something different.
Maybe I hate it.
And maybe you hate it.
Fuck Nora. What is she doing?
Exactly. And then I'm going to tell you, no, you see.
I'd be like, that's bullshit. I saw that years ago and now I know better. That's awesome. I love it when a movie can have multiple kind of really visceral effects on its audience. It does seem like this movie's kind of universally loved. I don't know why. I haven't really looked into it. I don't know if I touched on any of that, what people are saying.
No, definitely a different point of view.
I don't think this is a romantic movie in a similar way La La Land isn't.
People definitely love the childhood crush aspect of it and kind of reminiscent on that. But no one really brought up the Inyan. And I mean, these are not proper reviews. These are
proper
YouTube,
publications.
Yeah, these are YouTube comments and Google comments and Red Tomatoes.
They're all valid.
Red Tomatoes. Rotten Tomato comments.
Yeah, they're all valid though.
Yes, of course. I'm just letting you know where I'm
you.
saying this from.
I got you. All right, man. Well, thank you for that talk.
Thank you.
I learned a little bit of a different perspective on a movie today.
I learned that you like romance when life gets in the way and cock blocks you.
I like the lemons that come with life.
You like the extra large lemons that come with life.
Do you have a budget guess for me here today?
Yeah, my budget guess today is 15 million. Why? I have no idea. It didn't seem like super high budget, but not, low enough that will go under 10. 20 just seemed too high. 10 seemed too low. Right in the middle.
Well, it says here that it was 12 million.
Dang.
So your little Newtonian method got you there. And it went on to make $22.8 million. So
okay.
I would guess that probably made a little bit of money.
Good. We need her to come out with new things.
This may have been it for Celine Song. This is a semi-autobiography, so she may have been a one-and-done kind of director, but...
All right, still fine.
I hope not. Her eye of how to write a story and capture it is awesome. Completely awesome. So, I hope she does come back. It says over on Letterboxd with 641,000 people weighing in on a 4.2.
4.2? That's crazy.
Yes, sir.
I initially went in with a 2.5/3. I think I'm leaning more towards the 3 after having this conversation, for sure.
Did I was a good champion?
You were a good champion. Yes, you made me see things that, although I'm not happy with.
Yeah, of course.
They're there.
That's fine.
And they're fine. And they're great.
And I totally feel you. Seeing this film through that, a little bit more of an academic lens, it's hard to knock it down points. I feel that with even movies I don't love or like very much, like Anatomy of a Fall. There's like an element of intellect there that I'm just like, fuck, I don't like this movie very much, but I just can't get away from a more proper score.
And I also realized that no matter how I spin this movie made me feel. And not just feel like, oh, I felt something. Yeah. No, I was mad.
Yeah.
I was livid.
And no matter how you spin it, that's a successful film.
Every time Arthur was on that fucking screen, I was just livid.
He was in the motherfucking way.
He was in the way. When I saw
third wheeling.
Yes. When I saw Hae Sung's girl, temporary girl he met.
Who was that?
I was like, who is that? Exactly. What is going on? I crossed my arms. So no matter how you spin it, this got a very high reaction out of me.
That's awesome.
So maybe I should get a 3.
Yeah.
At least for that.
No, I totally empathize with that. No matter which emotion you go to, when it draws something so powerful out of you, I feel you. I totally feel you. I, of course, gave it a 4.
That's pretty high for you.
Yeah.
It's very rare when you give it a higher score than I do.
Yeah, I would say so. You normally like a movie more than me.
Yes, or, I mean, I feel like recently here we've been kind of on par, if not by half a point, but...
Yeah, it's because we've been watching a bunch of fucking mid films.
And this still feels like a mid film to me. But it spoke to you on a very different level than it spoke to me. But that's nice.
That's good. We're two different people. We don't need to be eating from the same bowl all the time.
You're eating from my bowl.
But thank you for this talk, and thank you for watching this movie with me. I had a blast.
Yeah, thank you. You know, I have a soft spot for romance films, even though this is not your traditional.
Yeah, it
romance.
is and isn't.
Yeah.
We're kind of living in that middle space.
And Korean movies.
Yeah, I'm
love
becoming a big fan of Korean
Yes.
films. I haven't seen but maybe 10, 15 of them max. But I must say, of those 10 or 15, all of them are probably like 3.5, 4s for me. Of course, I've been picking from the cream of the crop with Bong Joon-ho and Park Chan-wook. But, you know, still. My favorite director, David Lynch, is not hitting those numbers with me. Why is he my favorite director? I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't know. Who's your favorite director?
I love his cadence of things.
I mean, it's okay. My favorite director right now is M. Night Shyamalan, so...
Who's also a great director.
He's a great director.
But yeah, man. But thank you guys for listening to this episode of the Filmistines. I hope we did this movie justice one way or the other. We have a hater. We have a lover. Remember, we post every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday over on patreon.com/Filmistines, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, all the goods. Remember to leave nice comments, thoughts, and ideas all over our social media and Patreon, especially. Come and subscribe. We very much appreciate it. But until next time, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of the Filmistines. Thanks for tuning in and joining us on our cinematic journey. We hope you enjoyed the discussion and gained some new insights and perspectives in the world of movies. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform, especially Patreon at patreon.com/Filmistines, and follow us on social media for more film-related content. We love hearing from our listeners, so if you have any feedback, suggestions, movie recommendations, or book recommendations, please feel free to reach out to us. Until next time, keep watching and keep loving the magic of movies. This is the Filmistines, signing off.